This episode of the Old Dogs REI Network is brought to you by Mino Studio. Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network, where cash flow is king. Real estate investing, the means, so you can enjoy your retirement dreams. This is the show where we cut right to the chase. No sales pitch, no long monologues, just simple how-to real estate investing advice, so you can earn the passive income you need to enjoy your retirement today. And now, your host and chief old dog, Bill Manassero.
Hello, old dogs, and welcome to
Fun Facts Friday.
This is our once-a-week, only on Friday show, where we have special episodes not featuring guests, where I will share tricks, tips, terminology, and techniques that will help skyrocket you to real estate investing success. Today's topic is update on Indy AirBNB units. But before I get started, First, I wanted to encourage everybody listening here as this incredible devastation that's happened in southern Texas from Hurricane Harvey, that we just, we join together and pray for the people in Houston and other hard-hit areas of Texas. And I encourage you to donate to the Red Cross and some of the efforts that are in place right now to help those folks. There's a lot of people there that are just going through absolute devastation. I just, again, want to express to you that importance of being diligent and trying to help in any way you can, especially in your prayers. I also just want to say, if we have our new feature on the Old Dogs REI Network called Ask Bill. And if you have any questions, I would encourage you to write in and let us know if there are some certain questions you might have pertaining to real estate investing that you might want to get answers to. We have also our Facebook group that's called the Old Dogs REI Network, and we'd invite you to join as well. And for those of you that are interested potentially in investing in upcoming projects that we're involved with, we have our investor newsletter, which you can sign up at Manassero Properties, that's Manassero Properties.com. Now, as some of you guys know, I recently went to Indianapolis with the sole purpose of fixing up some of our units for AirBNB business, okay, and to set up systems related to that. AirBNB, as you I'm sure know, is one of those industry/history shifting companies that started about 9 years ago. Like so many other similar type industries, it began in a college dorm with a couple of college roommates who were looking for a way to make a few extra bucks to pay their rent. And it has rocketed into a global marketplace offering over 3 million listings in 65,000 cities in 191 countries. Needless to say, I doubt the founders have to worry about paying rent anymore. Well, the hotel industry is concerned, just like the taxi industry was concerned with the introduction of Uber and payphones with the smartphone and on and on. Companies like this have an impact that is global, and AirBNB has and will continue to make a big impact on not only the local economies but global economies as well. And it's no surprise that Airbnb, like Uber, came at a time when there was a lot of unemployment and people that were trying to deal with some of the economic downturn, and so they became entrepreneurs. They would rent out their cars and their homes to create income. Well, it has taken off, and I actually first became acquainted with Airbnb when I was in Haiti. Part of what we do with our orphanage out there is working with orphaned, abandoned, and at-risk children was to teach them trades. Not only teach them trades, but also teach them how to run a small business. Because in a country that purportedly has 80% unemployment, Education is a good thing to have, but it didn't guarantee you a job. So we set up a vocational training program and business incubators to teach kids skills like baking, sewing, carpentry, silk screening, technology, and the hospitality industry. And then we taught them how to market and manage their newfound skills into a business that they could manage, grow, and hopefully duplicate. Now, one of those businesses evolved out of our guest house that we had developed. We had a number of visiting teams that would come from churches and groups. There'd be families that would come, supporters of our mission, child sponsors that were sponsoring some of our kids. What started off as a bunch of bunk beds and a couple extra rooms grew into a full-fledged guest house with full kitchen, gift shop, dining room, and many more accommodations that would handle up to 50 guests a night. It also hosted special events like weddings, banquets, and other special activities. It was part of our strategy to create a mission that would eventually help the mission to become self-sustaining and no longer dependent on outside donors. Each of these individual little businesses, the bakery, the woodworking, and so forth, generated funds that not only paid the kids' salaries and allowed investment back into their little businesses, but part of that also went into the mission itself to help to pay the salaries for the kids, the Haitian staff that worked there, around 75 people at the time, but it also helped to fund the school, community medical clinic, and feeding program. The guest house at its peak really generated about $10,000 a month for the mission. Much of this happened really right after the great earthquake that happened in 2010. As time went on and news stories started to fade and people forgot about Haiti, we noticed that the number of visitors had dropped off. We started looking at other ways to be able to fund our activities there. And it was at that time we developed a little marketing plan that would reach out to other visitors coming to Haiti, not just people coming to see our mission specifically. And we got ourselves listed on TripAdvisor and another service we had just heard about called AirBNB. We started learning how to position ourselves and our service to reach a broader audience as we sought to grow this guest house and as a true hospitality or hotel type business serving Haiti. In this process, we were looking at how we could leverage that and position ourselves. So I understood a lot about Airbnb and some of the requirements involved at that time. So fast forward, we've been here in the States more than 2 years, and I'm dealing with right now this 22 unit in Indianapolis that we're having some challenges with. 17 of the 22 units are studios or efficiency units. And by nature, these are a more transient type of apartment unit. Now, even though half of the people that are renting from us right now have been there for 4 years and greater in these units, we still have that other 50% that are turning around a little bit too frequently. So one of the things that I've been trying to get ready at this point is we're looking at 100+ units right now to purchase, is to refi the 22 unit and to leverage some of those funds into not only the 100+ units, but other units that we'll purchase beyond that. But in order to stabilize this property and get it ready for refinancing, I can't have this fluctuating vacancy figure that ranges between 5 and 12%. Looking at ways to deal with that. So I had to start thinking outside the box. I knew that I had to try to get the tenants in that would be long-term tenants to stabilize these numbers. But at the same time, there was going to be that certain transient function of studio properties that was going to have that fluctuation. So this is where we started to look at Airbnb as a possible means to offset this. And the reason being is that with an Airbnb unit, I would get twice the income that I would as a traditional rental unit. So by let's say, getting an Airbnb, and maybe even if I missed a month or so, I would have more stabilized income. Okay, normally these rent for like $450 a month, but to be able to have an Airbnb that rents for $900 a month, even if I missed a month, I would be able to have a more stable figure, if you can understand what I'm saying, is that if I can get a few of these Airbnbs working together, I would actually surpass the income, my maximum income that I could generate with traditional units. So the idea is that that would have a higher ROI, and that higher ROI would result in a higher valuation of the property overall. So that really became the focus here. I had a guest on my show, Al Williams, on episode 109, and he talked about the challenges he was facing in renting out some of his inner city properties in Sacramento. He shared with me a 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit that he had that he actually was able to quadruple the cash flow by converting to Airbnb properties. And after the show, I continued my discussions with Al. I saw his numbers and started working up my own numbers on my 22 unit. I saw if I converted just one studio to an Airbnb unit, I could easily double the cash flow from what it would pull as a traditional rental. So how about if I had 2 or 3 different units? At that point, with 2 to 4 studio vacancies, I would be able to make up the difference in overall income. So even if I did have vacancies, the Airbnb income would offset that. So I decided to do a little test. We researched and started using sites like AirBNB and others to see what kind of demand there was for Airbnb services in Indianapolis. As we saw that there was still a strong demand, started to check out the competition and saw what other facilities were renting for. And what we noticed is that most of the rentals in that area were really just an extra room in somebody's house, as opposed to an apartment that has a kitchen, a bathroom, private kitchen, and so forth. So when people are staying in someone's house, they share restrooms, they share kitchens, and so forth. So we saw that this was advantageous to some of the competition out there. Even the cheapest hotels in the area would charge significantly more than what we would charge. So decided, let's do a test here. And I had my property manager pick up some cheap furniture, set up one of our vacant studio apartments as sort of an Airbnb test rental. As soon as we listed it, we got a booking right up front. And keep in mind, we weren't booking for daily rentals or even weekly rentals. The minimum rental on our units is 30 days because we just don't have the staff to do the turnaround on a more regular type of rental. So we basically started the test. I got a booking immediately from a medical student out of Spain who is going to be doing a residency in Indianapolis Hospital. And that was sort of our first booking, and unfortunately didn't work out because the unit we had wasn't ideal. So we relisted it again, and then we got a recent college grad who had just gotten a new job at a stock brokerage firm in Indianapolis, needed a temporary place for about a month and a half until the apartment that he was waiting for was ready. And so this was our first, actual cash rental, and the amount that was scheduled was 3 times what the traditional rent would have been for this same unit. So we saw this as, gee, this is a good little test. Although the place was not really fixed up that nice, it had the basics, a bed and some of the things, but we really knew that if we were going to do this right, we had to set it up and stage it right. So I took the step and booked a flight from LA to Indianapolis. I had 5 days to convert one of our units into a 5-star Airbnb unit. I started, before I left, looking at pictures of other Airbnb units, even looking at hotel rooms, and using these pictures to help me set up what we wanted to be a major competition for those other units out there. We started with a rehab, pulled out the rugs, put in wooden laminate floors, put in new kitchen cabinets, did a nice two-tone contemporary paint job, and then began to buy the furniture, queen-size memory foam mattress, a bed, couch, dining tables, desk with chairs, HD TV mounted on the wall with Roku and high-speed Wi-Fi cable. I mean, we just decked this place out as best we could in our small sort of 350 square foot little space to work with there. We spent approximately $2,000 to get it just up to the point that we felt that this is going to be a good place. And at that point, we hired a professional real estate photographer to come in and take pictures. We took those pictures, upgraded our AirBNB posting, and then boom, just relisted it again on AirBNB. I hopped on a plane, flew back to Southern California, and within 2 days, we had a 30-day booking. We discounted it a little bit because this is one of our first sort of serious rentals, and we discounted it to get a quick response. But within 2 days, we had that 30-day booking. So we got a tenant that's coming in, and it'll be staying there. We're going to be monitoring and testing and reevaluating and rehoning everything to try to help this to become a successful endeavor. Part of that is really, with Airbnb, is getting good reviews. Good reviews are critical. So we're going out of our way to welcome this guest in there with a gift basket with all kinds of goodies in it, and try to encourage them and be able to provide everything that they would need to make this a comfortable place to stay. We do have, potential risk. We're in an urban setting. Not everybody's going to be comfortable with that urban setting. I don't have anybody on site to be able to be there, but I've got someone fairly nearby that can act as the host and hostess for this. We're going to learn as we go along, and we're going to try and refine it. And if this becomes successful, we may add 1 or 2 more units. That will help to, again, offset the loss that we would have from the typical vacancies that occur with studios. Our hope is that it'll significantly boost our ROI and ultimately result in a higher value for the property. So we'll keep you up to date on this as we go along, and I'll have some pictures up on the show notes section so you can see what the place looked like after we upgraded it. You can access all that at olddogsreinetwork.com/blog. Again, thinking outside the box can be a way to deal with some of the challenges you're facing in your real estate investing. It doesn't mean Airbnb is the answer for everybody, but in our particular situation, we're hoping that it's going to be a good solution. Well, that's it for today. Until next time, remember, cash flow is king and real estate investing the means. Thanks again for listening, and God bless.
Thank you very much for visiting the Old Dogs REI Network. We would greatly appreciate if you would stop by iTunes and let us know what you think of the show. We would love if you could subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and write a review. The more ratings and reviews we receive, the more visible the podcast will be to others. Thank you.